Hey sis, are you going through something like right now and it feels like the people around you just don't get it. They don't get it. Like they care and they're actually trying, but you still feel alone. You still feel alone all in it by yourself and you're wondering like why do I feel so misunderstood? Yeah. And let's talk about it because one of the hardest parts of grief is not just the loss itself. It's just not. And it feels like you're going through it by yourself because people don't understand. And sometimes it doesn't mean like you're physically alone, but it means like you feel like you're emotionally alone because they don't get it. And people may say stuff like, stay strong, it'll be okay, everything happens for a reason. Or they'll say, you have to get over it at sometimes. Or they'll say stuff like, I went through that too. I had a death too. But it's not the fact that it's a death, especially when you went through multiple ones back to back to back to back. Or you're grieving other things that you thought that they were and it was back to back to back to back. Or it may have been one, but it was so detrimental and so it rocked you so much that they don't understand. And while their words may be coming from a good place, they don't always, that doesn't mean that they always meet you like where you're at. And that's why they don't understand it. And so sometimes what happens is that it makes you feel disconnected from people because you feel like you're dealing with this and they have no clue or they don't understand, and so you're really kind of out there on your own. And it's like it's just more misunderstanding and more feeling alone. And sometimes that could be like painful because you feel like it's just you don't have anybody else because they don't understand. So let's talk about why this happens though, sis, because I actually do understand because I went through this and at times still go through this from having multiple family deaths back to back to back to back. If you've watched any of my other grief videos, I talked about like in a season of my life, like about 2.5 years ago now, about a little over 2 years ago, we had death after death after death after death after death. Like we didn't even have time in our family to grieve one before it was another one, and then another one, then another one, and then another one. And so a person can kind of guess what you're going through, but they really don't understand it unless they've gone through that themselves. All the shifts and the changes and trying to adjust, and then not to mention having other stuff on top of that. That does take a toll on a person, and then it helps you to see life differently, and then you're kind of left like trying to explain it to people but they can't understand because they haven't been through it. So sis, if you've been through that, or a brother, like if it could be, you could be a man or a woman watching and that have gone through multiple deaths and grief and stuff like that, I get it because I actually went through it. And so let's talk about what happens because, like I said, grief is different. Definitely, it's like deeply personal for each person. Each person grieves differently, and no two people experience the same loss the same way. Some people think, oh, you just do this or oh, you just do that, but that's not how it works. And so, no two people experience loss the same way, and no two people process it the same way. And so what happens is like sometimes people who haven't experienced the similar type of loss that we're talking about here, again, they don't understand the depth of what you're feeling. They don't fully understand it, and they can't even grasp the depth of what you're feeling. And so let me break it down in a way that like makes sense, or I hope it makes sense how I'm saying it. So like imagine two people like standing side by side during a storm. It's pouring, it's storming, it's hailing, it's raining, it's winds, it's all of this stuff. So imagine two people standing outside and they're like right there during this storm, okay? But then think about it like this. One person is standing under a shelter and they can see the rain because they got out. Like you got two people in the storm, one's standing under a shelter because they can see the rain. They see it, but they're not feeling the effects of it, but they do see that it is storming, but they're not fully in it, right? Then you have another person that's like standing like directly in the storm, okay? Like they're in it, like they feel it, they feel everything that's coming down, okay? They feel the wind, they feel the rain, they feel the cold. If it's hailing, they feel those balls hitting them of the hail. They are getting it, okay? They feel every drop of it, okay? So both people see the same storm, right? Both people can see it, but only one person feels the intensity of it. Okay? So, like, they both see it. One's under the shelter and they see, oh my God, this is terrible and all this is horrible. The other person, they're down in it, in the dirt of it. They're in the grind of the storm. They feel everything is hitting them. That's how grief can feel. I could have me and you could be out in this storm together, okay? One of us could be under the shelter, one of us could be out in it. Or picture yourself, you and whoever you feel like don't understand it, or me and whoever I feel like they don't understand it. I'm out in the grind of it, but they're under the shelter, so they're not fully grasping like the what it feels like. And that's basically how it is. And so people around you, they see what happened, but they don't fully feel the effects of what happened or what it did to you, how it made you feel, how it crushed you, the emotional toll. They don't see all that. They don't understand it. And so it doesn't mean always, it doesn't always mean like that they don't care or anything like that. Sometimes it simply means is that what it simply means is that they haven't experienced that level of loss themselves. They haven't experienced that level of loss, because it's easy to say what you would have done, shoulda, woulda, coulda, if you haven't experienced that type of loss themselves. So for me, like I lost siblings, like older sister, older brother, mother that raised me, boom, brother-in-law. Like, I mean, it was people like we grew up in the house with, people you're around all the time, people that you deal with all the time during the holidays. Or it's not like distance people, these are people that's close. So a person that has not dealt with that, they're not going to understand it. So that's why there's a disconnect, because you're talking to somebody who doesn't even understand it. Okay? And so they don't understand it because again, they haven't experienced it themselves. Now I have a friend, and of course my family members, they all understand it because we all dealt with that, like back to back to back to back to back, and you didn't even have time to get over one, and then after a while you're numb because it's so many, you don't even have feelings. They understand it because they went through it, but somebody on the outside looking in, they can't begin to understand because they haven't been through it. Okay. So if you're experiencing I hope I'm touching you and blessing you to help you to understand that they don't understand it. They just don't understand it. Okay. So let's talk about what happens like internally. Okay. So like when you feel misunderstood during grief, what they can do is add a whole nother level to the pain. Yes. It can add a whole nother level to the pain, because now you're not just processing the loss. you're also processing that disconnection because you don't even feel connected to them because they're not understanding and comprehending what you're going through. Thus, you feel like they cannot help you or support you because they don't understand. So now you feel again a disconnect. And that can make your nervous system feel even more unsettled because now it's like, dang, I'm just out here by myself. Like, don't people don't understand me. I'm dealing with this by myself. And so what could happen is or brother, because I don't know, like it could be a male or female that's watching, but what could happen is you could find yourself withdrawing, not wanting to explain how you feel because you feel like you don't understand it anyway, and then or you're gonna say something sarcastic or you're gonna say something that's gonna set me off and make it even worse. So now let me just keep it to myself. You may also find yourself feeling like emotionally just tired around people. You're just tired. You could also find yourself feeling like they don't get it. Nobody gets it. Yeah. And that's real. That's real. It's real feelings. But here's what I do want you to hold on to, okay? So, like, just because somebody doesn't understand you or doesn't get what you're going through in your grief doesn't mean that your grief is not valid. Okay? Just because they don't understand it, it doesn't mean it's not valid. Okay? And so also just because someone can't meet you emotionally doesn't mean that your feelings are too much. Because sometimes they'll be like, you're just too sensitive, you're too overly sensitive, you take everything to heart. But if they had went through all the stuff you went through, you wonder how they would feel. But again, they don't understand it. It's not personal, they just don't understand it because they haven't been through it. They haven't been through it. So it means, though, that your experience is deeper than what they are currently. Your experience is deeper than what they can even comprehend. They can't comprehend the experience because it's so deep and so intertwined with all the feelings and emotions and stuff like that that they can't even comprehend it. That's why they don't understand it. Okay, sis? And so that's where your compassion is, is super important because it's easy to get so mad at people when they say things that you might feel like that's a stupid thing to say or that was ridiculous or that hurt because why would you say that when in actuality they don't understand it and they can't comprehend it. And so we are asked to have or supposed to have compassion because that's where it becomes important. Even though you're going through the grief and you feel like they should have compassion for you, as they should, but they don't understand it. So that's where we have the compassion to understand that they don't understand it and they can't even begin to comprehend what we're going through or what you're going through. Okay. And so that's why it's important that compassion that you have it not just for others but also for yourself. Okay, because it's like you're trying to gather all this information, feel all this stuff, and feel alone, reaching out to God because He knows, you're brokenhearted. So He's close to the brokenhearted. But if it doesn't feel like that because you're going through the pain, then you have to deal with the external people not understanding and saying things that may be offensive or hurtful. Then you have to have compassion with yourself because then it's like you make some decisions sometimes that you normally wouldn't make or whatever because you're so much pain and things like that, and then they say something else. So then it's like a cycle, right? If you're not careful. So that's why you have to have compassion with yourselves and with others because sometimes the people around you, the truth is, they don't even have the emotional language to help you. They don't know how to help you. That's why it's important to talk to people, maybe a psychologist, or maybe talk to people that's gone through it, or hopefully this is helping you because I've actually gone through it, so I can relate to what you're going through. That's why it's helpful to hear somebody else talk through what they're going through or what they've been through, because then it's like, oh, dang, okay, okay, it's not just me. So no, it's not just you, sis, or it's not just you, bro. Like other people are going through this. It's just that they don't understand us because they haven't been through it. Okay. So they just don't. And so they don't have that lived experience. They don't have the emotional language or the experience, like I said, to fully show you or show up the way you need them to show up. And then and while it may hurt because you feel like they should be there, or you've been there for them through A, B, C, D, and E, and they're not there for you through your hardest time, they don't have it because they haven't lived it. So they don't have it to give. And so it may hurt, but it doesn't mean that you're alone. And there are some people, like I said, who will understand. Like me, I 100% get how you feel. And you 100% get how I feel. That's why you're listening. And so there are people, and there are spaces where you can feel seen and you can feel heard and you can just kind of get that out. And so if this is you, please make sure you give me a thumbs up so I know, okay, yep, I vibe, I understand. And God understands your grief completely, because even the parts that you can't explain, even the part that they can't explain, that nobody else sees, he understands. He knows completely what you're dealing with. You're not unseen. You're not unheard. So I just wanted you to know that if you've been feeling misunderstood, give yourself some compassion, okay? And just to know that, they may not have it to give you because they don't understand. They just don't. And your grief is real, so just make sure you keep that to heart, to know that your grief is real. What you're feeling is real. Yep. And your heart deserves to be met with care. So I hope this message helped you. I hope this brought some awareness and some clarity to how you may be feeling in your going through your storm of grief or your healing journey of grief. If it did, please make sure you give me a thumbs up to let me know that this helped you or this touched you or you could relate to it. And as always, my name is Melinda. I'm a registered nurse, a life coach, and a mentor. And on our channel, I focus on faith, healing, and emotional wellness. And I just love helping us to grow, especially grow through pain, helping us to understand things, helping us to see, what does psychology say about this? What does the psychologist say about this? How can we heal? How can we move to the next level? So that's what our channel is all about. And so if you love you're Christian, or you have faith, in you, or you want to know more, or you want to start having some type of faith, if you need healing, if you want to be like emotionally stable, as far as like learning how to kind of work through some of these things, and trying to get the answers, this is the channel for you. Okay, so as always, I'm wishing you peace, love, joy, and happiness.